she is your biggest fan. Yeah. So yeah. So. Yeah. Yeah.
I know. I'd like to call this to order. Please rise for the flag salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Tacoma Public Schools acknowledges that we are on the traditional, ancestral, and historic lands of the Puyallup Tribe of Indians. We honor with gratitude the land itself and the Puyallup Tribe. This acknowledgement serves as a first step in honoring our nearest tribal neighbors and partners who have inhabited this region since time immemorial, and to whom we give thanks for allowing us passage to their land. We shall intentionally create inclusive and respectful partnerships that honor Indigenous cultures, histories, identities, and socio-political realities. General Counsel, will you please call the roll?
Yes, President Keating.
Here.
Here.
Numbers 10 and down are business items that require quorum. So what I would suggest is that we table number 5 for the moment and then proceed with the agenda. And if we don't have a quorum by agenda item number 10, we take a brief recess.
General Counsel, do we need to take any formal?
No.
Great.
Nope.
Then moving on to item number 6, recognition of staff, students, and community. 6.1, recognition of the Shining Star Community Partner Award to community partners Sinham Hem of the Asian Pacific Cultural Center. Is Miss Amanda?
Sinum's not here, but I'm one of her youth staff.
Oh, are you here to?
They're on their way.
They're on their hair. Why don't we table that one?
Okay,
Sue
great.
is at the service as well.
Yes, I did see her there. Okay. All right. And thank you for being here. And maybe just wave at me when I'll probably notice when she gets here too. So moving on to item 6.2, recognition of student board representatives for 2023 through 2024.
So the superintendent recommends that the board of directors, recognize the student representatives who were chosen to serve on the board this year. We have our senior representatives, Amanda Peterson, Zelicia DeLone from Lincoln High School, our junior representative, Lillian Taylor, junior from Silas, and Amelia Constantine, from a sophomore from Soda. And I know we have one
Lillian.
here.
Brilliant.
I'd like to take a moment.
Lillian, we have something for you. Pardon us as we all figure out being in this space, not knowing how to do anything. It's like moving in for the first time.
I think as you're transitioning, maybe we could have the three of you up on the stage to do.
Absolutely.
And I just want to take a moment to specifically recognize Lillian. Lillian has been here throughout the school year. Lillian has brought her voice representing Silas, but also representing students across the district. Obviously, we've heard her passion for the arts and the performances, and it continues to remind us of those important things, and then offers us feedback as we go along. So I just want to give a special shout out to Lillian for all the hours that she has volunteered. And you folks know what it's like to volunteer, and so it's a lot of work. And so thank you so much, Lillian.
Thank you. And I just want to, on behalf of the board, I hope you have felt valued by us. We really have deeply appreciated your insight, your contributions, and student voice is something that is extremely important to us on the board. And so we are grateful for all the time that you've given us, and hope that you will be back again in the fall, because you are, this is your first year with us, correct? Right? Okay. Thank you so much. And I think they want to get a picture. Oh. So if you don't mind, I think, are there stairs just on,
There's
stairs on either side?
both stairs.
Really formal. Oh, and I think we can go back to item 6.1. We're going to go back a little bit in time to item 6.1, recognition of Shining Star Community Partner Award. Miss Amanda Scott Thomas, I'm going to give the mic over to you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Let me put this right here. All right, good evening, Board of Directors, beloved community. My name is Amanda Scott Thomas. I'm the Director of the Community Partnership Office. And as you know, I come before you every month with a Gold Star Community Partner Award or a nomination for the board to consider. And for this month of May 2024, we have one of our longtime esteemed partners that is being recognized today. This award is for Sanoon Him and the folks at APCC. In the submission, I'm going to read it as it was submitted, to craft a compelling recommendation for the, oh, actually, I skipped a step. I'm sorry, I'm a little flustered. Tacoma Public Schools defines partnership as a cooperative relationship between students, families, schools, the school district, and the greater Tacoma community. Partners are committed to supporting student academic success and success of the whole child. Partners work with and invest in the education of our children and youth whose future in turn will affect the quality of life in Tacoma, quality of life in the entire Tacoma community. When it comes to student success, Tacoma Public Schools recognizes that schools cannot do it alone, and in recognition of an investment of time, talent, and resources for TPS students, families, and staff, the Shining Star Community Partner Award signifies an honor and thanks to a community partner who has made a difference by doing what's best for kids. So tonight we have a compelling recommendation for the Tacoma Public Schools Community Partnership Award, highlighting the Asia Pacific Cultural Center and its program manager for youth programs, Mrs. Sanoon Him. It's essential to detail the rich history, mission, and substantial impact APCC has had on the community, particularly through its collaboration with Tacoma Public Schools to offer the Jobs 253 experiences to Asian Pacific Islander students. APCC was founded in 1996 and emerged from the vision of local artists and community leaders who recognized the need for a central place to celebrate and share the rich cultural heritage of Asian Pacific Islanders in Pierce County. It serves as a vibrant hub for cultural exchange, offering programs and services that promote awareness, understanding, equity, and inclusion of Asian Pacific Islander communities. APCC represents 47 different countries, delivering a wide array of programs that span art, culture, education, and business. Sanoon, as the program manager for the youth programs, embodies the mission of APCC. Through her leadership in the Promised Leaders of Tomorrow program, her dedication to enhancing the lives of Asian Pacific Islander students in Pierce County through education and service is noteworthy. Him's background, surviving war camps in Cambodia to advocating for youth and families in the U.S., enriches her approach to empowering the next generation. APCC and Tacoma Public Schools collaboration, the partnership between TPS and APCC, particularly in facilitating the Jobs 253 experience, is a testament to the center's dedication to educational advancement and career readiness for API students. By offering hands-on internship experiences, APCC and TPS jointly support students in gaining valuable work experience, fostering professional growth, and enhancing employability skills. This collaboration not only benefits the students directly, but also enriches the community by preparing well-rounded, culturally aware, and skilled future leaders. APC's profound impact on the Tacoma community, spearheaded by leaders like Ms. Sanoon Him, make it an exemplary candidate for the Community Star Partnership Award. Their ongoing commitment to cultural preservation, education, inclusivity, coupled with their significant contributions to student success through the Jobs 253 partnership, underscores the vital role APCC plays in enriching and bridging diverse communities. So this nomination was submitted by CTE, their staff, but APCC has been a long-term partner, and at every level in the district, they have their imprint on supporting students and families. So we just wanted to acknowledge APCC, particularly Ms. Sanoon Him, who has been around since I got here, and has really been an advocate for students, API students, and all students. But we really want to appreciate them today and honor them. So I'm going to have Sanoon come up. She has members of her team to address the board, but can we give her a hand? The whole team can come up. Sanoon, this is yours. Congratulations, my dear.
Wow. Thank you so
You're
much.
welcome. Here, you can have the microphone.
School Board of Director, member of the community, Superintendent Garcia, and member of staff, thank you very much for your partnership, your belief in all of us, in our team, and our Board of Director. I know Al has been one of our even volunteer at the Tacoma School District to help our young people. And my executive director, Ms. Laura Preacher, without her, we couldn't do it. She has been the star and the champion in our community, in our Asia Pacific Culture Center. She has lead us to the promised land. That's what I call it. She told us she'll build us a culture center that you can work with the young people all your life. I said, okay, I believe in you. So here we are. Our culture center will be built because of her and her commitment to the young people. And her and I always have conversation about where can we make an impact in our young people's life. The Tacoma School District actually gave us the chance and opportunity and believe in us that we could make a difference in young people's lives. So thank you very much for this special award. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Ms. Hem.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Al Cozio. I'm with the Board of Directors of Asia Pacific Cultural Center. And Sanoon says I used to be at Lincoln helping after school students. The program is open to not only API, but all students. Whether we help them with college preparation, preparing the college financial aid applications, helping them with not only financial aid, but applying for jobs in the summer, preparing them for mock interviews, teaching them and training them, hopefully, for some personal financial management. We break them up in groups, and not only that, but we allow them to spend some time together and have some and build, and with the trust of the community and Tacoma Public Schools, a group of the Filipino club at Lincoln were able to take a break and accept an invitation from JBLM yesterday and perform out there in the nice weather that we had. But again, thank you all.
Thank you. Oh, please don't go away. Yep. We definitely want to have a picture with you, but we also want to extend our deepest gratitude for all of the work that your team does and all that APCC does for our students and our community. We are deeply grateful. Would you like to come up on stage? Would your team like to join us? We would love all of you to come up here with us, please. You're the one with the award.
Ready, 1, 2, 3. Take a bunch. Big smile. Thank you.
Thank you. Superintendent, did you have anything you wanted to add?
I just want to give an extended shout out. Miss Lua Pritchard is not here. Lua is a tremendous partner that has built the team. Sanoon and Lua and I meet pretty much monthly for the last 13 years trying to figure out ways that we can help our kids in our community together. And I know that they just go above and beyond, and there is an entire community. And so, like so many things in Tacoma, is what makes the secret sauce is the whole group working together in that space. And so I'm extremely grateful for our partnership and Ms. Sanoon's leadership. Thank you so much.
Okay. We're going to move back to item number 5. Is there a motion to adopt the agenda?
I move to adopt.
A second?
It's been moved and seconded. Are there any questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. It passes. Okay, so now we're going to move to item number 7, the superintendent's report. And item 7.1 is the Washington State funding landscape.
Before we get there, before I forget, there's a few folks that I want to take a moment to acknowledge. First, I want to, some of us had a chance yesterday to celebrate with our retirees. Educators from, up to, I think, 45 years was the top amount of years served, thousands of positive lives influenced in that time. And so I just want to take a special moment. You should get a video of some of the retiree celebration, and just take a moment if you know a retiree from the Tacoma Public Schools. They play all different kinds of roles. Please take a moment to extend our deepest gratitude to them. I also want to take a moment to recognize someone that you see every meeting, but a little bit of explanation of why we're here. Mr. Mark Crapo has helped make sure that we are here today. Mark helped us see and some of the vulnerabilities with when our elevator went down and not knowing we needed to make sure that we had accessibility. And so Mark and a team of folks, but really led by Mark's efforts, helped us look at different opportunities across the district and how could we. And then Mark's, I don't want to say single-handedly, but deeply, pretty much committed, helped us get this set up. And so, if you're watching for the first time, it seems like everything is a little new to us or we're fumbling around. It is new to us. But that's not out of a lack of effort to Mark Crapo's work in trying to help us reach and do business in a very professional way. And so I just want to give a round of applause to Mr. Mark Crapo. I believe that you might have some comments later, President Keening, but I had a chance to attend Ms. Catherine Ushka's memorial this afternoon, and I was reminded of how difficult things changes in our community and how we have to keep on working together in there. I had a pleasure of working with Ms. Ushka, Catherine, as I'll finally always remember, for years as one of our school board members and then as a community leader. And so I just want to let her and her family know specifically that our thoughts and prayers are with her, and just recognize her one more time here in Tacoma. It is May. It is the end of May. It is a challenging time. We're almost there. We are almost there. Vice President Strozier reminds us in his comments not to rest yet. Not to rest yet. We are going into the season of a lot of celebrations, promotions from preschool to kindergarten, from 5th grade to 6th grade, from 8th grade to 9th grade, and our graduates, and it takes a whole team of effort to get there. And so I would just echo Vice President Strozier's comments to make sure that we don't stop yet and that we will keep on working even through these difficult times. You have gotten a lot of feedback as board members. I have gotten a lot of feedback around our current budget situation inside of the Tacoma Public Schools. So if you could bring up the slide deck, please. I wanted to give you a little overview. Sometimes, and this is no fault to anyone else's, folks, this may be their very first meeting that they've attended, maybe the first time they watch, and we welcome that. And some folks have heard some of this ongoing for months. We knew that for the last few years that we were facing a funding cliff at Tacoma Public Schools, but more importantly in the state of Washington. And I don't have, oh, I do have a clicker. Thank you.
Oh.
See how I do, Mark? And Unfortunately, we are not unique in Tacoma. And so we know in Washington State, it's been a funding challenge. We've talked to you about the funding gap as it continues to manifest in our state, from everything from what the state reimburses to expenditures and revenue. Led by some of our local leaders, at the time it was President Bonbright and our current President Kramer from the TEA, ourself and 18 other districts advocated that this be addressed. They saw the significance of it happening. And what they saw, and these 18 school districts came together in partnership to say that from very large to small school districts in the 18, they saw a systematic issue. It wasn't a challenge of mismanagement. It was a systematic issue of the way that we fund education in the state of Washington. Collectively, they represented over 30% of the students. They asked very specifically both for a long-term solution, create a task force, because the McCleary decision didn't fix the paramount duty of the state in the way that it funds education. And then they asked for a short term to address the funding challenges in our state. And that short term ask was approximately $2.2 billion, which represented about 44% of the gap that we faced as a state. You've seen, because we have brought that to you, unfortunately the state was not able to meet either one of those in that space. The 18 partners that represented it was more than that, I would say, but the 18 leaders, partner district leaders, recognize that what were the driving factors of these shortfalls? Yes, there was decreased student enrollment. We had the sunsetting of federal and state pandemic funding. And despite the lingering impacts, that funding was going away. So you were charged to spend that funding in a short period of time. By law, you were required to spend that funding. You had unfunded state and federal mandates, most notably in special education. You saw increased operational costs. And that's not unique to us. It's not unique to education, but fuel's more expensive, milk's more expensive, everything is more expensive. And the state was not providing that. And in Washington State, our funding comes from the state of Washington at a local level. Yes, we have some portion of local levy, but predominantly comes from the state. And so when those costs are not matched, that's even more problematic. Many of us adjusted our budgets in 23-24, and we continue to face shortfalls. Seattle, you've 104 million, some of them. Spokane, 27, but it's raised even more. Edmonds, 11. And we, unfortunately, even in our state, had districts that were going into binding conditions. And what that means is that that's the equivalent of going into bankruptcy. It may feel like we're alone in this, but as we look through and what we've heard in the news, districts across the state, Edmonds, South Woodby, Tukwila, Marysville, closing schools, laying off employees, program cuts, significant challenges. You have school districts even in our own community, meaning county, close to us, continue to face these challenges from Yelm to Moses Lake to Franklin Pierce, Vancouver, Evergreen, Wenatchee. And then you might have heard that Seattle is facing a challenge of possibly closing 20 schools. Unfortunately, it continues to be a challenge in our country as well. And so you see widespread layoffs from every position. And I looked around and said, is this happening in different states? And what does that look like? So from Coeur d'Alene to Ann Arbor, Michigan, Little Rock. Small districts, large districts. Houston's one of our largest. Really significant. You've been a part of this along the way. You've understood some of the steps, how we have tried to get to the place where we are today, and how we will continue to mitigate forward. We have reduced significantly administrative services. We'll share some more of that information in our monitoring report today. We have reduced department budgets. We've adopted lean practices across the district to change our business practices. We've tried to stay with a level of fidelity to our staffing models, but more importantly, we've honored our contracts across the board. We've reduced our surplus property as a way to not only reduce our ongoing operational costs, but to lower the footprint, which would then also allow staff less to do in those spaces. We changed our delivery model to increase revenue and expand access through programs like Transitional K, and then as we've just shared with you, around the transportation and bail schedule. We've gone to our vendors and partners and said we need to change your contracts in order to maintain best supports that we possibly can. So unfortunately, I'm here to tell you is you as board members, and I know you get a lot of pressure, unfortunately, you are not unique in this situation across the state. There's a lot of challenges. We have a commitment, and even as we make decisions, things will continue to adjust and to change. We have specific timelines that we must follow through our agreements and partners, but as things change for us, we will continue to try to live into your guiding principles moving forward. That is my report tonight. And then we have a number of staff reports, so unless there are questions, I'll turn it over to the staff.
Are there any questions?
Oh, good.
Nope. All right, moving on to, actually, I wasn't really sure, just with the chaos of how the meeting started and having to go back and forth in the agenda. I do want to take a moment to talk about Catherine Ushka. I had an unbelievable privilege of being asked to speak at her service today. It was standing room only at the Eastside Community Center that she and Marty Campbell were at the helm of fighting to get so that there was a place on the east side for people to gather. And with the same kind of state-of-the-art facilities that are in other zip codes in this city. The service went really long. And so I'm actually gonna read the remarks that I read, that I shared today at her service in honor of her. She has contributed significant amounts to our community that will never actually be fully measured. And there's a lot of things that no one will ever know that she touched and that she had her hands involved in. So I'm just gonna take a point of privilege. And I'm actually grateful that there are so many here, because some of you may not know who Catherine was. And for those who don't, she was a city council member, elected in was sworn in to serve in 2018, January 2018, and had been on the school board from 2009 to 2017 previous to that. And Catherine chose Tacoma as her home. I first met Catherine over 10 years ago at the Big Hat Brunch for Oasis Youth Center. Her daughter was in high school and mine was in elementary school. Her presence as the Tacoma School Board Director was significant, especially at the time, because you wouldn't have gotten many elected officials at an LGBTQ event if they weren't also a part of the community. I had shared with Catherine at the time how immeasurably important it was to have supportive staff and administration for my daughter as she was openly transitioning at the time. Catherine cared, she listened, she connected with me mom to mom. What I didn't know at the time was that I was meeting a trusted friend and a staunch co-conspirator. As I said, she served on the Tacoma School Board from 2009 through 2017. She and her colleagues spearheaded groundbreaking work in innovative practices, improving graduation rates across the district, and the Whole Child Initiative. She was a constant advocate for doing the right thing. She worked to get an East Side special school to help all Tacoma students have access to SODA, IDEA, and SAMI, regardless of zip code. And she helps support partnerships, especially community partnerships, which is still a foundational pillar today. She used her position on the school board as a trusted leader to defend the rights and protections of transgender people when they were under attack from 2015 through 2017. She was by my side in the face of hostility and bigotry. And not only did she stand beside me and my family, she stood in front of me. She stood in front of my family. She supported inclusive policies and legislation and continued that work on the City Council and on the Tacoma-Pierce County Health Board when she took the helm of the chair in 2020. She deeply valued and believed in the dignity and protections of LGBTQ children and families. When I stepped up to run for the school board, for those of you that know Catherine, she prepared me for the hardest parts and never sugarcoated anything. She told me that I better be ready to work harder than I'd ever before. And the hard work is worth it. And she was so right. Catherine was my mentor, and she was my friend. We spent hours on the phone discussing needs, barriers, fears of our own, how do we move forward to protect people in the early months of the pandemic. I had told her that I didn't know what I was doing because I'd only been in office for 5 months at the time, and she stopped me cold and told me that I am a school board director and that she relied on me and my knowledge and expertise to guide her. And she wasn't going to let anyone talk about her friend that way. Catherine's love language was truth, no matter how hard, no matter how uncomfortable. A leader takes form through learning to take responsibility, holding themselves accountable, especially when it's uncomfortable, inconvenient, or comes at a cost. It's clunky, awkward, and filled with mistakes. Anyone can lead during easy or good times. The true character of a leader comes through when we are tested, when we are squeezed. Being willing to stand in one's convictions takes courage and tenacity. Catherine served with audacity and unapologetically. She served, those she served were her guiding light and compass. Catherine put her convictions on the line again and again and again, even in the face of being unpopular or in conflict. To lean in and commit to take ownership and move mountains to change outcomes is the kind of boldness that many of us have all come to love about Catherine and rely on. My friend may not be by my side physically anymore, but she sure as hell is within me. Our stories are intertwined. She is within all of us who carry and cherish her legacy. We do that together. She served our students, our school district, and community with her whole heart. And now it's on us to continue her legacy. Thank you for giving me that. Well, I took that opportunity, but thank you for holding space for Catherine.
President Keating, I think there's Director Leon.
Oh,
Yeah,
sure.
just, I do want to make just a comment as your other staff members are going to be presenting still around the budget issues. We've heard a lot from our constituents. We just like to try to have in their presentations if possible, or later, because some of this information may not be available right now. I think in the future, I would like to know, and some of the students and constituents would like to know, kind of these positions that are not going to be filled, some of them, how some of those duties and functions will be done and function with partner organizations. We may not have all the information today, but I think it's important that we strive to get this information to our public. So,
Yeah,
thank
we
you.
can bring that back to you, and we'll talk about the process as we continue to go forward, and what does that look like, and bring that back to you.
Thank you.
Moving on to item 8, staff report to the board. 8.1, benchmark reports, monitoring partnerships, volunteers, and organizations.
All right, so I'm back. The Community Partnership Office comes before you twice a year to report on two of our benchmark measures, and I have some interesting things to share. Let's see. Where am I pointing to?
Point at Mark.
Bottom button? Oh, there we go. All right. So we have some good information to share about volunteers. As you know, annually, the district processes volunteers that work with our students through a background check process for safety. It is a priority of ours. And in years past, post-pandemic or pre-pandemic, our volunteers numbers have been trending, have been decreasing. But of course, since the pandemic, we've been trending upward. So we're trying to build our volunteer resources back into our schools, because again, schools can't do it alone. So the more volunteers, the better in our buildings. And I'm happy to report that we continue to trend upward in our numbers of volunteers for the 2023-2024 school year, which we're not quite finished. We count our last numbers August 31st. So when I come back to you in the fall of next year, I'll have the final number. But we're at 6,901 volunteers, which is, again, having us continue to increase for the fourth consecutive year since the pandemic. So as you know, 50% of our total annual numbers in volunteers actually happen in that September and October, those September and October months of the school year. Again, our volunteers are returning. We process those numbers. This year, 31% actually registered in February, March, and April. So we're seeing more of some equal distribution. So volunteerism happens, or people register to volunteer all year long. So we have an increase of 24% for this school year, which again, numbers are trending upward. And so we're excited to see that. Am I going backwards? I am going backwards. Okay, so one of the things that I'm asked to do is I was asked to do by the board. They gave me some marching orders this year, was to talk to volunteers. We want to find out what we're doing well, what we can improve on. We want to retain volunteers. So it's one thing to continue to trend upward, but it's another thing to retain volunteers and make sure that they're having a quality experience. And so part of the work this year was doing some, I am going backwards.
You're doing it great.
Am I doing great? I don't feel like I'm doing great, Josh.
All year long, you do an amazing job.
I appreciate
You're a
you.
small shop, and between you and Victoria and Ren, you've done a phenomenal job. So you're trending in the right direction with this slide deck as well.
We are. Thank you. He's so good. All right. So we did go out and do some volunteer listening sessions. We went to Downey, Stanley, Blix, Manitou Park, Baker. We met with some folks out in Northeast Tacoma at Meeker. The Healthy Kids Coalition brought their volunteers together. We had one volunteer listening session online, and then we did a survey of our volunteers from March 11th through the 15th of April. And so we wanted to get data back to bring to you to really let you know what our volunteers are experiencing and how we can improve. And so I included in my report to you kind of a synopsis of that report. So you should have gotten that with this report that gives you some more detailed information. But let's see. I don't see, there's a slide that I think is missing from this report, but I wanted to give you some highlights. So the reasons that our volunteers said that they volunteer in our schools is that they wanted to support teachers and staff in the school buildings. They want to find out what's happening inside of our schools. They want to support their students, and they said volunteerism was a way for them to do that. They also volunteer because they want to build relationships with educators, other parents, and the community. So our volunteers are finding value in being in our school buildings, supporting students and teachers. They talked about the ways that they volunteer. The majority of our volunteers volunteer for special events and projects in schools. They also provide classroom support. They help with fundraising and then holiday efforts. So we have some annual events and activities that happen, and we lean on volunteers for those events. and activities. They did have and shared some suggestions and some concerns, and these are one of the things that our office will be working to support schools in doing at a district level and a school level. But they said that they would appreciate better communication about volunteer opportunities. They want to know how they can best be utilized, and that's not always clear. Better organization of volunteer opportunities in schools, so the systemization of volunteer opportunities, knowing what they're going to be doing when they go in and having a point of contact. Building relationship with educators, teachers, and community. They said welcoming environments are very important. Depending on where you go, sometimes volunteers are a little bit more welcome than others. So they want, again, to be welcomed. Paperwork, they said an online application would be nice. So we have automated the application, but because we don't have a centralized volunteer system, each time they go into a school building once a year, but even if they go in once a year at one school and they have a child at another school, we don't always share information. So they have to do 2 applications. So they said, you know, an online system where they would go in one time once a year to fill out an application would be ideal. They talked about removing barriers for PTAs and community groups to use schools after hours. We know that we do have folks inside our buildings, but there are some costs associated when you have custodial after hour stuff. So we're kind of exploring how we can be creative around getting folks in our buildings after hour. One thing that came up several times was translation services. So when we're holding volunteer events and community meetings and activities at schools, they would love to have more volunteer or more translation services at those at-school events and activities. Again, clear points of contact for volunteers, and again, welcoming environments and kind of a systematized volunteer recognition process. We don't really have anything that is district-wide volunteer appreciation. So schools do it in their own ways, and they said that thanks from the students is a lot of where they get their joy from, but it would be nice to have those volunteer opportunities to be recognized for their volunteerism, and even to know how many volunteer hours that they are actually providing for the district. So again, this comes about, would be best done through a centralized system. So we've been looking at different ways throughout the years to try to do something around systematizing our system without spending a lot of money. And so we're still doing some research on that. So you will have some recommendations from our departments and some changes that we can make based on the recommendations and the data that we collected from our volunteers. So I'll be happy to bring that back to you. And then you all can let me know if you approve of the recommendations and the things going forward. So it was a great process. It was nice to get back out into community, but we did host those listening sessions as you asked us to do. And again, we have that full report that you should have received in my paperwork. Okay. All right. The other benchmark measure that I report to you at this time of the year is the number of expanded learning opportunities that we were able to formalize for this particular school year, 2023-2024. You will see that we have 19 for this school year. There is a decrease from last year, as you can see, pretty much a 70% decrease. There's multiple factors for this. One factor is a positive factor. We, for the last couple of years, have been working in partnership with the contracts office that when we do establish new partnerships, they're multi-year partnerships. So we're not going to have to do them every year. So there's going to be a decrease in the number of partnerships just because of that, which is great. Less paperwork for our partners, less paperwork for us. And if it's an ongoing, effective collaboration, there's no need for us to do the paperwork every year. They are monitored, but again, we don't have to go through that entire process. The other reason that there were less this year is because we do have an automated partner request process that happens via our website. And so when folks want to come and partner with the district, because it's automated, it's very easy for us to shift that to another department. So they might be saying, hey, we want to partner on this career and technical education partnership, we're able to go ahead and shift that over to CTE. Or if it's something that has to do with mental health, we're able to send that to Laura and her team. So about 20% of the 37 requests that we received this year for partnership were dispersed to other departments. So that's one reason that that number is decreased for our office this year. The other is really budget impacts. There has been a slower processing time for formalizing our partnerships. And I think just generally in the district, things have been moving slower because of capacities being decreased. And also budget. Part of my budget was used to seed expanded learning opportunities to see if something worked. We don't have those funds anymore. And so you can see it's reflective in the number that we're able to establish. We are still open to partnerships when partners come where there's a program that doesn't require funding or they have their own funding. We're still getting those into the works, and I'm processing MOUs and contracts, but budget is definitely having an impact on our partnership numbers. You like to see this every year because the partnership office is not the only department that establishes and formalizes partnerships in the district. This is how the pie divides up into who formalizes partnerships and creates those MOUs and contracts each year. This is what it looks like for the 2023-2024 school year. So the partnership data reflects, again, new ELOs. We did have a decrease. We had 37 submissions this year. We were only able to formalize 19 of those so far, but we're still in conversations and still working. We'll be working throughout the summer. And so at the my next report to you in December, when I give you the final volunteer numbers, I'll also be able to report to you the final expanded learning opportunity numbers that have been established for this school year, because the school year isn't over and we work through the summer. So I have some in process, but again, things have been impacted because of budget.
Amanda, I just want to jump in real quickly because that second bullet is it's a decrease in new partnerships.
New partnerships.
Amanda works, and her shop works with a lot of ongoing partners.
Yes.
And so even when we talk about new ELOs, our partnership with the partnership office, Green Trike, Metro Parks, and the 60 other partners that provide Beyond the Bell and Club B opportunities, the participation is an all-time high, over 25,000 participants. And so in some of that data, as Amanda has done a great job of articulating some of the challenges we face, Amanda's also helping foster those and maintain those current to have more access and reach within the current relationships too. So
yeah,
just wanted to contextualize that a little bit.
Thank you. And to clarify, a lot of the partners that I manage and partnerships that I establish are the ones that don't fit into the Beyond the Bell School Beyond system. So those will be our higher ed partners and some of those partners. So I'm mainly talking about what happens in my purview. So any questions?
I was curious with the 37 new partners that you're still working through, like, what is the diversity of like offerings of those? Like, are there new partners coming to us that are filling areas that you were fostering or we've been fostering to try and fill in terms of I don't really know how I'm asking this question. It's not coming out very well.
I can share with you the list of the partners that are requesting partnership. They are very diverse. So you have some established maybe girl serving organizations out of Seattle that want to come down to Tacoma and offer services. You have one-time programs that want to come in and do something one time. So we get a real mix of folks that want to partner and support schools. We have people that, will submit a partnership. They actually don't have a program, but they want to fit in somewhere and serve. And so a lot of those folks we refer over to our Green Chart partners and fit them in there. But there's a lot of different kinds, but I can send you an email so you can check that out. Any other questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you, Amanda. And
Thank you, Amanda.
Moving on to item 8.2, Head Start Year in Review. Miss There she is.
Tonight we have our fearless leader for early learning, Miss Michelle Raw-Lewis, and one of our amazing partners for our Head Start ECAP programming.
Good evening. I have an overview for you for our year in review, and then I also have our Policy Council President, Alicia, here. I said it wrong again. Our Alicia here to be able to give some perspective on what it's like being on Policy Council. Heard them say it's the bottom button. Right. So just some of our accomplishments for this year, and this is specifically for Head Start, is that our Head Start, I am very proud to say that we have the highest enrollment in our region. We are one of the only contractors that are not in enrollment, on an enrollment plan for not having adequate enrollment of 97% or above, so that we are very proud that through all of the efforts that we're able to keep in our consistent enrollment. Our other thing that we are very, very proud of is we've been reporting to you over the last year that we finally finished our Office of Head Start Federal Review. This is the large review that talks about how our compliance is within the program. Are we meeting the deliverables of that grant? And that we were found in 100% compliance. We had no findings. And that was a great tribute to the staff and the families that participated in that review, as well as all of your guys' support for keeping us fully enrolled in funding. Again, our attendance rate, we are meeting our performance standards at over 85%. We have just completed our self-assessment. You should be getting a report early next week on that. We had our community members, our Head Start families, our Policy Council, take a look at all of our performance for the year and make some recommendations for continuous improvement. This year, after going through all of the pandemic, we were able to reestablish our Health Advisory Board. And we had a Health Advisory Committee meeting that had over 10 of our local community partners to be able to come in and provide us with different resources for the families in Head Start, from the health department to law enforcement to early Head Start was there to be able to provide us some different opportunities. We are very proud to report that we are continuously seeing our increase in kindergarten readiness. So our scores from fall to spring in our domains, we are at 85% of meeting all of the children meeting kindergarten readiness expectations. We have provided our conscious discipline workshops to families and staff again this year. Families are very interested and engaged in conscious discipline and learning what we're doing for SEL in the classroom with our preschoolers and being able to bridge that home to school SEL learning. We are very, very excited that the Office of Head Start is continuing to allow SNAP food program as well as child care subsidy as to be categorically eligible. So for Head Start, families have to be within 100% of the poverty level, which means a family of 4 would need to make under $35,000 a year to qualify for our Head Start programs. But being able to expand that to SNAP and child care subsidy, if a family is receiving any of those benefits from our state, they are automatically eligible regardless of their income. So that is something that's helping our enrollment and helping our families, because we know our economy here within Washington State is significantly different than other parts of the country. Our next steps is we're going to continue to reach our full enrollment and continue to do our community outreach. We're going to maintain our high attendance rates. We have adjusted our staffing model due to some budget shortfalls that you've heard about this throughout this presentation tonight. We have created a new staffing model that was approved by our Policy Council as well as the board to ensure that we are still holding all 400 slots for Head Start and ensuring that we are having created a new staffing support model to ensure quality deliverables and a quality experience for our children and families. We are addressing the key findings again within our self-assessment. Updating our community assessment to always reevaluate our community needs as we're putting forth our new 5-year grant cycle. And that we are providing families with ongoing social and emotional support. We know coming out of the pandemic, we are seeing a lot of children and families, as well as our staff, just having some more traumatic experiences, and we want to ensure that we are supporting that whole child as well as whole family approach to Head Start. And now that I had all of the stuff that we've done accomplishments, I would really love to introduce our Policy Council President. She is new this year, and she's going to talk a little bit about her experience in our Head Start program this year.
Good evening. My name is Arlisha Etienne Ford, and I have the honor of serving as the Policy Council Chair. And one of the main reasons why I am serving on the Policy Council Chair, there's 2 reasons. So first, I have spent the last 10 years of my career in education. So I worked at Peace Community Center in the after-school program. I was with College Success Foundation for a while. And more recently, I'm at the University of Washington, Tacoma, serving students. And so my son had no choice for his mother to be involved in education and to have a household where we really prioritize education. And so the Policy Council really gave me a formal way to be a part of my son's education. The other reason is that my mom was really big on being a part of all 6 of her children's education. And so when I was in middle school and high school, I did not appreciate it. When my mom was coming up to the school and when she knew all of my teachers' names and she was calling them during the day, didn't appreciate it. But now that I'm a parent, I get it. I appreciate it. And now that I'm working with youth, I appreciate all of the parents who are involved. And I've been disappointed that we don't have more parents who are involved because I see that it takes a village. It takes a village to make sure that education is a priority, both inside of the home, but then also making it a priority at the school that parents and teachers are working in collaboration. And so the Policy Council has been a great way for me to be a part of my kids' education.
Arlisha, I just want to say thank you because you're dedicating your time and volunteering your time. That's benefiting you and your family and your son, but also those that you get to serve with and volunteer with. And your expertise is deep, and your experience is really vast. So I just want to say thank you because we know this work doesn't happen in silos. It works best when we're doing it together. So thank you very much.
And then our last slide is our Policy Council representation from all of the schools. And I just wanted to acknowledge that every school that has a Head Start program has a Policy Council representative as well as an alternate that attends monthly meetings and supports the program in writing and rewriting our policies. Have any questions for us?
Questions or comments? We're always grateful when you come, and we're especially grateful when Head Start Policy Council folks come. So thank you very much for your time tonight.
Thank you both.
Moving on to item 8.3, the financial update.
So tonight I have Mr. Kari Kapman coming to give us a budget update. We give you monthly budget updates. These are also available on the budget page. You can go on and see the budget updates throughout the year that you've received on a monthly basis.
Great, thank you. This is ongoing updates that we've given you the last couple of months as well. Highlights on the clicker. On principles that we have here is, first of all, we realize that we need to be sensitive to our diverse needs and the disparities in our school district and in our community as we're going through the budget and maintaining and enhancing that quality of learning that we have in our school district. We do that by also relying on data and KPIs that we have available as we're making these decisions and recommendations. Along the way, too, you've seen as we've been here and also on our websites, being transparent about what's going on and providing tools for the community to get involved. At the end of that, we've talked about some position eliminations that we've had as we went through the cycle in the last year. And we make every effort to reassign people out into another spot within the school district that they can have a positive impact as well. So. What drives our funding issues, you've heard from our superintendent as well here, but we have an enrollment decline. That decline you'll see in a chart in the future part of the slide deck here. It's a slight decline over the next couple of years, but it certainly is a decline in enrollment, and that impacts our budgeting as well. Additionally, inflation and escalating costs in areas like in nutrition services. We have the CEP program where we provide meals for all students in our school district. While doing that, food costs continue to raise. We have reimbursement rates that are not keeping up with that through what we have through the legislatures at this time. Additionally, throughout the district, benefits are more costly, and we have market-driven salaries that we use to retain the best people in our school district to make those positive impacts on our students. Also, ESSER funds are transitioning out. This is the last year. We have a minimal amount, and there's no ESSER funds available for next year as we get to the end of that. Transportation costs, you heard about McKinney-Vento and the positive impact that's had on our students, but also the impact it is to a budget to maintain those expectations too. You've heard recently too that we're doing a different approach for the transportation, looking to save some or reduce some costs there while providing the same good quality transportation for our students in our next year's budget. Special education, the per student costs, they far exceed what the state's allocation is. And more students, of course, continue to be identified and taken care of in that. The prototypical model for education is also something that we're funding, or the state's funding 66% of that, when there's a continued need for us as well. And our levies are limited. Here you'll see on the top line is the budget for each of these years going back to the 2019 year. The top line are the budgets. On the left-hand side is the revenues that were budgeted. The right-hand side are expenditures that were budgeted. The number down below is what we actually experienced during each one of those years. And then this current year is on the far right-hand side. Of course, there's no number yet for the end of the year because we've not made it there yet. Down below, you'll see the trend that we have for the fund balance reserve. And as expenditures continue to be more than what revenues are, that uses up some of our fund balance reserve. We're now at the lowest point at the beginning of the year that we had, which was 18.3 million compared to prior years. So the accomplishments that we have had, as you remember, about a year ago, we started talking about mitigation strategies and implementing some of those. They've had a positive impact on reducing that trend, but that has meant that we've had to have some position eliminations and, again, being careful in what we do and trying to put people in other places within the district that they can have a positive impact. So some of that is position elimination. Some of it is shifting costs around for staff. Discretionary reductions have been a big focus since about a year ago. Again, we've had a pretty positive impact on those. What that means is sometimes revising contracts or canceling contracts, watching what we're doing for supplies. I mentioned, I think the last time we met, that it's great to have some of the different, I was out in our purchasing group just recently and saw that I was getting stuff that was on a purple paper. So what's with the purple paper? Well, they're using up all the excess stuff they've got before buying something new. And I think that kind of grassroots approach to saving money throughout the district has been really positive for us. ESSER cost elimination we've talked about, and then another one is that the exempt salaried employees' salaries have been frozen for next year as well. Our superintendent talked about excess properties that we're eliminating, which reduces our utility costs as well as upkeep and other operating costs for those. This is the trend that we talked about for student enrollment. You can see currently and over the next couple of years, there's just a slight decrease, but we're not seeing, the demographer is not showing us there's going to be any kind of an increase over the next couple of years. So the budgets that we set now will be the type of budgets we'll be using for the next couple of years. On this slide is showing us the combined central and administrative FTE that we have. We're now near the low that we had back in 2018, as we've tried to eliminate all the positions that we can that are not, that we can do something different somewhere else. And during that time period and that'll be, again, kind of a benchmark we'll have for the next couple of years with those.
So the administrative group represents administrative services. It is not all administrators in that space. And so the way the state categorizes, you can see those different activities. And so if someone's working in nutrition services in a certain level, they may not be an exempt employee, which is what oftentimes people think is a traditional administrator. But they are categorized as the administrative group.
And in being involved with the community. So we've got our budget calculator that you're aware of, and we share that with the community each year. We also have budget webinars or videos that will be available for the public to see by the end of this month. And in June, we've got the formal public hearings for our proposed budget. Some considerations that we have for the budget, of course, as we're balancing this, is rebuilding our fund balance. Right now it's less than 5%, which is what the board goal is for us. And as we're building back up to that, as well as reducing other costs along the way. This right sizing of the budget is really not just for this year, a one-time event, but it really is for the next couple of years as we see enrollment staying about where it is. And this budget work has been ongoing. Again, about a year ago, we really identified what needed to be done and have put those things in place where we are today.
Just want to add a context is, when we think about, when you've heard Kari mentioned a couple times what this means for the next couple of years, we can see that enrollment is flat. If the legislators don't do anything different, that's what it looks like in that space if Washington State chooses to continue to fund schools at the same level. So there is an opportunity for communities to advocate and to continue to find resources, but it's important that we don't know those things, and so we have to make those decisions right now.
And so as we've been making some of those adjustments this year, it helps to prepare for next year for that budget and ongoing. The expenditure side or the budget will be finalized within the next couple of weeks here. And this kind of summarizing the current next steps. So we are looking at how to balance that budget as we go into next year. And that includes some tough things for us to take a look at and figure out how it all works into that, which, of course, eliminating ESSER, both funding and expenditures for this next year, adding in transition to kindergarten, what those legislative impacts might be that we have for next year, and levy balancing as well. We have special education and transportation that we're looking at how to provide the best services for those at a cost that's sustainable. And there's a whole lot more. There are, as you can imagine, lots of different programs and so forth that we're looking at how to make that sustainable in years. Last real bit of information here is, of course, at the end of May, we'll have that budget video available for the public. June 6th will be the budget hearing, and then June 20th will be the budget adoption. Questions might you have?
Are there any questions? Comments? All right. No, thank you so much, Kari, for
Okay,
the,
great.
for
Thank
the
you.
report.
Thank you, Kari.
Moving on to item 8.4, Human Resources Update.
Good evening, and just to give you an update of where we are with our certificated staff. And when we talk about certificated staff, that means not only our teachers who hold a teaching certificate, but also folks like counselors, nurses, and also like a psychologist, a speech therapist. So regulations by the state for those staff members that hold a certificate. Each year we give a contract to our staff members that hold a certificate, And I'm so proud to announce that 98% of our certificated staff have already returned their contracts and are signed up for next year. So as we talk about Tacoma being a great place to work, our staff have voted with their contracts and are coming back to work again next year. We just have one that's outstanding, and that's for one of our staff members that are on leave. So this is an annual process. We try to wrap that up before May 15th of every year. Another deadline that we have by May 15th of every year is something called displacement. And displacement is a term that's defined in our collective bargaining agreement with the Tacoma Education Association. So displacement is basically a fancy word that means transfer. So there can be usually two different types of transfer. It can be an involuntary transfer, where because of the staffing or because of the enrollment of our students, we may have to move staff from one building to another. There's also a second kind of displacement, which is voluntary. And every year we send out questionnaires to our staff, and there are staff who say, well, I may want to go to a different school for a variety of personal reasons or professional reasons, and so the staff may also ask for a displacement. Displacement is important to remember that the person absolutely has a job. They're going to retain their contract, they're going to retain their pay, and also retain their benefits. And so just another quick snapshot of our collective bargaining agreement. Displacements are covered in an entirely separate section of the collective bargaining agreement from a reduction in force. And you just heard Mr. Campen talk a little bit about reduction in force. I want to clarify again, we haven't done any reduction of force or layoff of any certificated staff, nor are we planning to do so. The reductions in force, we followed your guiding principles, which is to stay as far away from the classroom as possible. We did that earlier this year with primarily reductions in force for some administrators at the central office, as well as some office professionals, and we did do 5 of school administrators. But again, what we're doing right now, what you might be hearing about that's going on in the schools right now, is displacement. It's an ordinary annual process, and it is not a reduction in force or a layoff. To give you an idea of how many displacements we're doing this year, it's about the same as what we've done in years past. You'll see that 20 of our displacements this year are voluntary, meaning that those are, again, people who have asked us, we'd like to move to a different school. And so the remaining 45 are displacements that are due to program changes or enrollment at a particular school. Now, this isn't to downplay that it still has an effect on the person who's going to be changing, who didn't ask for change. And I just want to do a special shout out to a person who's on our team who absolutely goes above and beyond in this displacement process. We have a team member who picks up the phone and calls every single certificated staff member and tells them, I'm so sorry, this is going to happen, you're going to have a displacement, but I am here with you. I'm going to make sure that I'm here to answer all of your questions. You can call me anytime, and I'm going to make sure that I try to give you the best possible placement that you want. That's the kind of service that I have never seen in any place that I've worked in my career, and that person is Stephen Giedrich. Stephen, I just want everyone to give you a round of applause. I told him he didn't even need to be here tonight, that I had this presentation, and he's here tonight because he really cares so much about the staff that he tries to support in this process. So it's a difficult process, but I want to let you know that I couldn't imagine a better person to try and shepherd anyone through it than Stephen, and that's our update.
Thank you. Is there any questions for Renee? Okay, thank you so much, Renee.
Thank you, Renee.
All right, moving on to item 8.5, audit outcomes update.
Some of you folks have had a chance on early mornings to meet Mr. Paul Walker, and Paul is a tremendous asset to the school district, and I've asked Paul to come to give you an update about our audit.
Thank you. Good evening, President Keating and members of the board. My name is Paul Walker, Director of Internal Audit for the Tacoma School District. I am here to present the most recent audit report completed by our external auditors, the state of Washington, Every year, the Washington State Auditor's Office reviews the financial statements and federal awards for the Tacoma School District. And they just recently released the results of that audit, and I'm happy to say that we have received a clean audit opinion. Clean means good. It means the kind that we wanted to receive. They had no issues to report in those two areas that they reviewed of financial statements and federal audits, which are the funds that we receive from the federal government. I'll speak briefly about each area. For the financial statements, in their opinion, they said that the statements were presented fairly. They said there were no uncorrected misstatements, no deficiencies in the design or operation of internal controls, and they found no instances of non-compliance. For our federal awards, the grants that we receive from the federal government, they would be required to look at least 40% of those awards. Because of the size of the programs that they looked at, it turned out to be 76% of what they looked at, $62 million. They stated that we, the district, complied with all federal grant requirements, of which there are myriad, and that there were no deficiencies in the design or operation of our internal controls. So this is a good report for us. We are very pleased with it. And I would like to say that this type of report does not occur by happenstance. It starts with you all, the board, and with our executive leadership. Our state auditors are looking at things, what they call the tone at the top, which is to look at our ethics and our compliance and our accountability. And they regularly interview members of the board and our superintendent for each audit. And also the good work from our business services division, our finance department, our payroll, accounts payable, purchasing, budget, all those departments have a hand in this, including other departments that are part of the interface with our external auditors, Human Resources Department, our enrollment services. All of them together helped collaborate to lead to this excellent opinion that we received. And that concludes my report.
I just want to say thank you, having being one of those people that shows up at 7:30 in the morning for the Citizens Audit Finance Committee meetings. It was really an interesting process. It was my first time through this formal process, and I found it really informative. And to work with the auditors at the state office they were really wonderful to work with. Would you share just a little bit about how they came and partnered with us and to help with this really pretty cumbersome process?
Now, are you talking about our weekly meetings that we have with our state auditors? Are you talking about?
Well, there were comments during the meeting and when they were participating in the, presenting their report, but that you and your team had talked about how they had come and met and through the audit process.
Oh, absolutely.
Is that triggering you?
Yes. In prior years, during COVID, they would do most things remotely. And that was fine during COVID, and then once COVID ended, then they still did most of their things remotely. But we reached out, internal audit reached out to a number of our departments, and one of the things that our department said is that they would rather have them on site. And so that was one of the things that the state auditors did. They actually would go out to our various departments and speak in person to people, which was very helpful. And the other thing was that we would have a weekly meeting with our finance department and internal audit and our external audits to communicate, to collaborate, to get in front of any issues that they may have noted, any difficulties that they would have. We would help them get through that. And then they in turn would present anything that they may be looking at, and then we could help them, just work through that process as they helped us as well.
Thank you. Thank you for adding that additional context.
Just want to thank Paul and Trang. Our internal audit team is just 2 people, and we have a lot of vulnerabilities in that. And so we appreciate, when we talk about partnering with the state auditor, we have the luxury of being required to pay for a state audit on a regular basis. And so it is important for us to have that checks and balances to make sure that we don't have blind spots. We have other audits as well. You heard Michelle Raw-Lewis mention the federal review of performance. We have recently received a special ed audit results from our OSPI, and I'm pleased to repeat that there were no findings in that, which is another clean audit. And then today we received our Title I audit, another federal program, and once again, a clean audit with no findings. And so very proud of the team. Our team learns from Paul and Trang about making sure they have a high level of expertise, and we're very fortunate to have them in our community. So thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Paul.
Thanks, Paul.
Right, moving on to item 9, members of the public wishing to address the board. School board members, public comment guidelines. School board members encourage public participation. Your civil input is appreciated. Board members will not respond to your comments during the meeting. The superintendent or a designee will follow up with you after the meeting if action is needed. Instead of speaking at a meeting, you may also send an email to the board at board@tacoma.k12.wa.us. You can contact the board office in advance of the meeting for disability accommodations as well. Under board policy 1430, public comment, the board president may terminate an individual's comment when the allotted time has passed and may interrupt a speaker to require the same standard of civility that the board imposes on itself. Examples of uncivil comments include comments that are libelous or slanderous under a legal standard, are an unwarranted invasion of privacy, are obscene or indecent pursuant to the Federal Communications Act or any rule or regulation of the Federal Communications Commission, violate school district policy or procedure related to harassment, intimidation, bullying, or discrimination, or incite an unlawful act on school premises or violate a lawful school regulation, or create a material and substantial disruption to the orderly operation of the board meeting. The board as a whole has the final decision in determining the appropriateness of all such rulings and can maintain order by removing those who are disruptive. However, the board recognizes the distinction between uncivil discourse, which it will not tolerate, and comments about the board, district, and/or staff that are negative yet still civil in nature. The board will exercise authority to maintain order in a content-neutral manner. And there are 2 options. There is verbal comment, and then there's also written comment. And we do have written comment that has been attached to the agenda. General Counsel Benro, I'm going to turn it back over to you.
Thank you, President Keating. We have 18 comments for tonight, so I think we have a 2-minute timer this evening, if that's the decision of
Yes.
President. Okay, so do we have the, oh, it's on the screen.
Yeah, we're still learning where things are.
Yeah.
So members of the public, there will be a, I'm sorry, Millie, did you?
No, go ahead, please.
To your left, there is a timer. You will hear a ding through that timer as well. And so that would be your 2-minute limit. So please just finish your sentence at that time, and we'll continue to move forward.
All right, our first speaker this evening is Wes Solomon, followed by Lucian Krakow.
And when you come to the microphone, please announce, just say your name for the record, please.
Hello, I'm Wes Solomon of Stadium High School.
Wes, you can move the microphone up if that's more comfortable for you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
If you, the Tacoma Public Schools, remove the career guidance specialist system, you will be damaging the school structure that you represent. It is your job as a school district to present opportunities to students. However, with the current actions you wish to take with the budget cuts next year, you'll be eliminating opportunities for students as well as future students. Personally, as a student going into my final year at Stadium, I've seen many students use the career guidance system. It's been incredibly helpful to all of them. Additionally, I have seen several students come in search of scholarships for college. They received the information as detailed as they desired in a quick, helpful, and timely manner that could not be achieved with a system of already overworked counselors that you are attempting to distribute work onto. Thanks to the opportunities our career guidance specialist has offered, I have found a new college that I have decided to pursue, as well as several jump starts on programs that I need to to complete to achieve my vision of what I see as success. I would have never found these programs if the career guidance specialist system hadn't existed. If this program is eliminated for students like myself who are seeking to graduate at Tacoma Public Schools, there will be an immediate result of a higher stress, higher anxiety graduation process. The Career Center at Stadium acts as a safe space for students to pursue their futures. I've seen several students in an elevated emotional state as a result of the news that they will be losing the support structure that the Career Center offers, along with the space that is designated for it. Although I had only found the news on Wednesday, I have started a petition and achieved over 250 student signatures from Stadium alone. Each and every one of them disagrees with the decision you have made. If you continue to work with your plan, students currently enrolled as well as future students who will be enrolled at your schools will be negatively impacted. Thank you.
Thank you, Russ.
Our next speaker is Lucian John Crocco, followed by Betsy Kindblade.
Hello, good evening board, good evening community. I am Lucian John Crocco, ninth grader at Stadium High School. The position of the Career Center at Stadium is very important and should not be eliminated, as it's the foundation for many youth's futures in and outside of high school. To give an example, during students' own time, the Career Center offers guest speakers to come in and give students the right mindset for high school and their futures. Not only that, but it also offers field trips for youth who are looking for places to start their next journey after high school, like universities, technical colleges, community colleges, and military school. This is very effective for students who are confused or don't know where to start when thinking about their future, but it ensures they have their best foot forward. Equally important is the position of the Career Center at Stadium to oversee students' progress and decisions for the future. It helps by giving knowledge to and preparing high school students for the college tests like the PSAT, SAT, SAVAB, and the ACT tests. Not only that, but it is a place to get help for students' applications, letters, and essays, making it easier and less stressful for students to apply for colleges. This takes some weight off the students who are anxious about those tests and help other students make sure their applications are ready for colleges to look over. On the whole of the subject, the Career Center provides a multitude of opportunities for youth to expand their minds on what they want to pursue and help others prepare for their next steps when applying for college. Without this help and support, a lot of students at Stadium High School would truly be lost on what to do with themselves in the future. I personally wouldn't feel as welcome at Stadium without the Career Center there, as it's a place to work, communicate, and eat lunch in peace and safety. Not only that, but Ms. Gunderson is the advisor for Indigenous Student Group, and without her, I'm afraid Indigenous students at Stadium would not feel welcome.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Betsy Kindblade, followed by Jason Struna.
Hi there, my name is Betsy Kindblade. I'm a proud parent of a Stadium student and Edna Travis. I'm here to speak about the proposed staffing displacements for the 24-25 school year. Like so many in this room, I'm disheartened to hear about the resources being taken away from Tacoma students. I am especially disheartened to hear that these cuts are mostly support service positions. Losing these positions is going to affect the most marginalized of Tacoma students. I understand that the legislature does not adequately fund the schools. What I do not understand is why the cuts are coming from the lower end of the district's pay scale instead of the top of it. For years I have heard that TPS was top heavy with administrators and that they were paid well above average. After digging around, I found the top paid roles with TPS are superintendent, the 4 deputy superintendents, the CEO, and the CFO. Their combined annual salaries for the 22-23 school year was a little over $2 million for 7 people. What does this mean? It means the superintendent's salary is 284% higher than the median salary of a TPS employee, and 280% higher than the national average. The 4 deputy superintendent salaries are roughly 220% higher than both the median TPS salary and the national average. Imagine how many students could be served if those salaries were only 100% higher than the national average. How many more could be served if those salaries were on par with the national average? Instead of cutting support services, please consider taking a page from the school districts in Olympia and Puyallup and have the highly paid administrators take furlough days during the low or no contact days with students. Summer break is just around the corner. I'm sure there are some trails these highly paid administrators could explore on their days off.
Our next speaker is Jason Struna, followed by Molly Erford.
I'm Jason Struna. On October 12, 2023, I joined a group of parents attending the TPS School Board meeting to speak in support of teachers and student-facing staff who had been maligned by members of the school board at the previous meeting for advocating too loudly for more resources for Edna Travis students and the diverse communities that serve that school serves. The Travis staff at the previous meeting had sought to bring attention to the administration's cuts to the Travis budget that led to increased class sizes through teacher displacements, class combinations, reduced behavioral support, and created social emotional conditions detrimental to learning and teaching for students and staff alike. They were pleading for help centered on students with the least resources and among the highest needs in the district. Yet their calls for support for unhoused students, legally mandated support for students with IEPs, support for students who have faced trauma, and ultimately support for all of the hundreds of Travis students who had been negatively impacted by TPS admin's cuts fell on deaf ears and provoked defensiveness on the part of the board. Word of the video recording of that meeting spread amongst parents and led to the mobilization that brought us to speak during the public comment period on October 12, 2023, where we commended the energy, dedication, and care that Travis teachers and staff have for our students and expressed our dismay for the cavalier dismissal of their concerns and advocacy. Members of the board and representatives of the superintendent's office listened and, to their credit, responded to our justifiable outrage that night and invited us to talk in more detail about our concerns and frustrations. At the end of the board meeting, the Travis parents and staff who were present joined members of the superintendent's office and the board to talk further about our complaints, seek information, clarify policy, and eventually we were invited to have other meetings that concerned issues like Title IX, resources for McKinney-Vento students, resource allocation methods, etc. We've essentially felt heard and seen, at least by the board, if we didn't say that our needs were satisfied. But the current cuts Travis staff faces and other staff around the district face are all the more egregious after having been seen and heard by the members of the superintendent's office. We recently learned that several of the positions occupied by staff that spoke for increased resources in September 23 will not be filled in this upcoming academic year. The loudest voices for advocating for the students with the highest needs will be displaced to other schools by the board's and superintendent's wisdom, and that the progress that staff at Travis have made will be rewarded with diminished resources for the academic year upcoming.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Molly Erford, followed by Jennifer Boutel.
Good evening. My name is Molly Erford, and I am a kindergarten teacher at Sheridan Elementary. I am here tonight in support of my students and the entire student body at Sheridan. Last week, Sheridan received disappointing news that our social worker, Katie Bouchard, has been displaced. To say that this is disappointing is an understatement. Sheridan Elementary, located on Tacoma's east side, is one of the largest elementary schools in the district. The needs of the students at Sheridan can be overwhelming at times, especially since we seem to be bursting at the seams in most of our classrooms, and due to budget cuts have already lost so many important supports. The support Katie provides is vital to the growth of the whole child, and it is hard to imagine filling the needs of our students without her. Katie supports the needs of our students in so many ways. She is always on the lookout for kiddos who need a little extra, whether it's a pair of shoes that fit, a quiet office to reset on a bad day, or a friend, as Katie hosts lunch bunches regularly in hopes to connect kids that need a little support in the friendship department. During her 8 years at Sheridan, Katie has established many partnerships that bring in resources such as food, clothing, and various services. Last year, my class nicknamed her the Snack Fairy because she would pop in every few weeks and fill our cabinets with graham crackers and goldfish for snack time. Katie's supports do not only serve kids while they are in school, her supports go beyond the classroom as well. Katie supports our families in crisis, families that need help with a holiday meal, groceries, and setting up doctor's appointments. I could go on and on about the many ways Katie supports our students, but for the sake of time, I'll leave it at this. Our students at Sheridan come to school with so many needs. It's not possible for one teacher to meet every one of these needs. It takes a village, and our social worker is part of that village. Her work plays an instrumental part in the growth and successes of the session.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Jennifer Boutel, followed by Penny Kramer.
Hello. Am I close enough to the microphone?
Yes, thank you,
I
Jennifer.
can't quite reach.
Yeah.
My name is Jennifer Boutel, and I am the Tacoma Education Association secretary, and I also teach 7th grade at Giadroni Middle School. I'm here today to talk about 2 issues. The first, and most urgently, is the career specialist position. 6 years ago, I was in the situation that our career guidance specialists in this room are in now. I was actually facing a RIF. They had displaced all career guidance specialists, except for 2 of us who were RIFed. Ultimately, it was determined that that work needed to go somewhere, which I think we still know, and 4 of them ended up right back where they were, serving the high school students that they needed to be serving. And so I would very much like to advocate today that that's really what needs to happen again. I can tell you a little bit about where the work they do won't be going. It won't be going to outside agencies. I love outside agencies. They do a lot of great work for us, but under our contract, it's very clear that duties presently performed by bargaining unit members shall not be assigned to any other bargaining unit, outside agencies, or individuals without providing the association notice of the proposed assignment and an opportunity to bargain its impact. Non-certificated personnel will not be used to replace teachers. So that's very clear. So that's not a place that work will be going. The work will not be going to a software program. I know that the state has finally identified the software platform that they're going to use for our high school and beyond plan, which is great, but I don't know if it will surprise anyone when I say that students will not effectively use software if they're not counseled for it. That was a fast 2 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Our next speaker is Penny Kramer, followed by Jose Martinez Perez Jr.
It's very far away. Good evening. I'm Penny Kramer, president of Tacoma Education Association. I'd like to congratulate and thank all of our retirees, and I also want our retirees to know that you're always welcome back as a guest teacher. We need more. TEI members are facing displacements. It's stressful and it impacts so many lives. I want to acknowledge Stephen Diedrich. He's in the back. He's a master at his job who takes time to consider feedback and has partnered with me to make improvements in this difficult process over the last 2 years so that our members have increased input in determining their next position. He's been working this entire meeting, and I'm sure my inbox reflects that. Displacements are directly affecting students in the classroom, as you've heard from a few already. Removing counselors, social workers, career guidance specialists, and other support staff is a misstep which could have been avoided. Much of the work that displaced members is going to fall onto the plates of already overloaded and overworked educators. So I ask yet again, what is being taken off the plates of our educators? Yes, there's legislative funding issues, and there's also layers of crisis across our district. You've heard me speak about some of these. Partnership is a word used regularly, but it's not put into action in a meaningful way. TEA represents about half the employees in TPS, and we are the experts who are in the buildings with every student every day. When large-scale system changes are made at the top without input from the people who complete the work, it's demoralizing. There is a budget issue, but we also have a management issue. Administrators should not be making unilateral decisions without first hearing about those impacts and including us in the decision-making. If there were jobs in other districts, TPS would be losing highly qualified, experienced staff because we're overloaded, overworked, undervalued, and dismissed. This should be a huge concern for our school board and our community, and I urge you to engage all stakeholders and include us in the problem solving. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Jose Martinez Perez Jr., followed by Annalise Glenn Lufroy and Kel Price.
Hello, my name is Jose Martinez Perez Jr., and I'm here representing the displacements for those career and guidance specialists. I ask that you guys reconsider, especially for the damage it will cause. You see, as a first-generation college student and American, the career and guidance specialist at Silas has honestly made such a huge impact, not only for myself, but for my family. You see, as FAFSA continues to get more and more difficult, it's something that needs more and more attention. And frankly, Miss Becca is the one that made this completely possible. I didn't know what I wanted to do in my life. I didn't know if college was an option. I didn't know if my family could afford it financially or what I was gonna do. So my main vote was, why not go to work? And even then, she was the one pushing me, finding me opportunities, and frankly taught me that college was an opportunity for me. She showed me that as long as you're willing to work for it, you can get it. And there's pathways to get it. But nowadays, they're very limited. Unfortunately, the scholarship I have gotten is no longer gonna be continued. But I had the lucky opportunity to be guided by Miss Becca to get that college opportunity. And frankly, my family is not paying anything for my college education thanks to her. You see, guidance and career specialists are needed multiply, not only at my school, but as you've seen in Stadium and other schools. But yet, for it to be taken away is like stripping a student of their opportunities. And that is something that I cannot stand for. Thank you.
All right, our next speaker, I think we have a joint effort here, Annalise Glenn Lufroy and Kel Price, followed by Brian Bisson.
Hi, I'm Annalise, and this is Kel, and we're seniors at Silas. And we're also here to share our perspective on your budget cuts for the career thingy, because like, as a student, you're supposed to, or you're here for us. And so, quite frankly, like going into senior year, it's really scary. There's a lot of stuff you don't know about, like the FAFSA and the High School Beyond plan. And so when I went in, I was like, how am I gonna afford this? Because I have a huge family, and of course, like I'm a minority, and college is very expensive. And because I had Miss Becca, it was a lot more calming because she guided me through all this stuff I didn't know before. And I have a friend who's a first-generation student, and her dad was scared of the FAFSA. And because of Miss Becca, like they were able to work through it. And so I also want to bring up the fact that you're not only stripping like us from those resources, but outside of being like guidance person, she's like also involved in our school with the GSA club, with the scholarship committee, with like choosing our graduation speaker. So you're getting rid of that position while also getting rid of someone who's like really integrated in our school. And I don't think you account for that when there's so much more than the position they have. And also, I mean, just everyone being here, having more comments than usual, shortening our time to 2 minutes, that should be enough to show that this is a huge issue and you should listen to people. What do you say? Thank you.
Our next speaker is Brian Bisson, followed by Casey Parrott.
Hi, I'm Brian Bissell. I'm a teacher at Mount Tahoma High School, civics, AP government. I also coach cross country. And budget cuts are terrible. We all hate them. And I don't envy the position of those who have to make the decision. So I appreciate all the work that you all have done to find cost-cutting measures. Anyway, I'm here on behalf of the career and guidance, college and career guidance counselors, and on behalf of my students. I teach seniors, and so they spend a lot of time in there. I see it every day. I write so many passes there, I gave my students an opportunity to volunteer to do some writing today in class, impromptu, and I just kind of want to share some of their thoughts. My personal experience with Mrs. Phillips has always been helpful. She got me to change my decision and decide to go to college, and likely the same with many other students over the years. As a student of Mount Tahoma, in my opinion, Mrs. Phillips has the most important job here. Her job quite literally changes lives. I can't stress enough how important and helpful she is. Again, in my opinion, for my future, she is the person who has helped me the most, and I can vouch for others that that is the case as well. One of my best memories is applying to my dream college in front of my counselor and the feeling of telling her I got in. Without her, I could not finish my resume, my personal essay, or finding a college suited for me. Without her, I don't think I would have gotten far. She has given me a safe place to help me when I'm in trouble. In my own personal experiences, I would not feel the confidence and sureness I have about my future if it were not for Mrs. Phillips. She stayed hours helping me get in contact with FAFSA and didn't leave me alone in that process. Taking away the career counselor would be bad for students. All right, it goes on. Thank you so much.
Our next speaker is Casey Parrott, followed by Chelsea Vaddix.
All right, hello. How are we doing today? All right. Sorry, that's how I work things. All right, my name is Casey Parrott. I'm the college prep advisor over at Silas High School with the College Success Foundation. I'm a Lincoln grad and a Tacoma native. It used to be back in the day you could graduate from high school, apply to a random job, and make a decent living for yourself. This was the norm for my great-grandparents, my grandparents, and even my parents. That time is quickly phasing out. Georgetown University put together a study that determined 72% of the jobs in the United States will require some type of college education. 42% of those jobs will require a bachelor's degree from a university, and I'm not sure what the school district is doing to prepare these students for that cold hard fact, but removing the career guidance specialist position was not the right move. Every staff member in the school system recognizes the power of education, and I'm sure you do as well. However, they also recognize how difficult it is to apply to college and the process that goes with it. Our career guidance specialist, more importantly, Rebecca Ackerman, was the only one on the TPS payroll whose sole job it is to prepare them for their next steps. The countless hours pushing students to do more than the bare minimum, Becca has made sure that our students are shining and given every opportunity that could be thrown their way. I'm disappointed, to say the least, that TPS decided that the future of our students is being taken away. This position is incredibly important, and I'm confused as to one of the benchmark goals, which is, and I quote, developing plans for life after graduation while still in high school is important to a smooth transition to the next phase of students' lives. Helping students plan their next steps and monitoring how many students are acting on their plans is important to determining our students' success, end quote. And we're deciding to remove the exact position that is in charge of executing this. This is important. Rebecca, Jamila, Angela, and Brandy deserve better than this. They go above and beyond for our students, and our district should do the same. My dad always had a saying, if it ain't broke, Don't fix it.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Chelsea Vaddix, followed by Wendy Holcomb.
Hello. My name is Dr. Vaddix. I'm a pediatric neuropsychologist in the community. I can't even fathom the logic behind cutting these services in the middle of the worst mental health crisis our country has ever faced. A crisis that has hit our teenagers harder than any other group. In the last 4 years, rates of anxiety and depression in adolescents increased by 65%. That is 6 times higher than 2019. Our teens are scared and overwhelmed and uncertain. Parental stress is at an all-time high. Access to mental health services is at an all-time low. Social anxiety skyrocketed after COVID, and our teens are feeling disconnected and isolated. All over the country, programs are being rolled out in a desperate attempt to address this crisis, except for here. We're cutting their supports. We're decreasing funding in the things that matter to them, the things that make a difference. High school is a critical time for a person. It is a crossroads where we make decisions about our future that will affect the rest of their lives. There is no other time in a human's life where we are expected to make so many critical decisions about our future. Such a time would be stressful and overwhelming for the best of us, and then consider that teenagers are dealing with underdeveloped brains. They lack the cognitive development needed to process and synthesize all of these variables. And this makes them as a group short-sighted, impulsive, and a bit illogical. I love you guys, but... And yet, despite the fact that we know more about cognitive development and the adolescent brain than we ever have, we are not using that knowledge to prioritize supportive systems during this transition. And we are asking our teenagers to make life-altering decisions regarding their career paths and future trajectory, and they need guidance. They need to have someone break down the process, someone to add structure and accountability, to help them consider all the different factors that can make or break this next step for them. They need someone who knows them and sees them above and beyond their grades or fleeting interests, someone who can untangle all the threads and make this process a little less daunting. Because what these students do after high school matters. It matters so much.
Thank you.
I'm gonna steal my wife's time now.
No, I'm sorry.
Let's have you come back up when she comes up.
Yeah,
Thank
if you want to come back.
All
And
right, our next speaker is Wendy
thank you, though.
Holcomb, followed by, followed by Noah Jorgensen.
My name is Wendy Holcomb. I've been a Tacoma Public School parent and have worked in close partnership with our high schools over the past 10 years supporting post-secondary access and enrollment. I'm here to address the forecasted displacements and cuts of the 4 college and career guidance specialists at Stadium, Lincoln, Mount Tahoma, and Silas. I understand that the board and administration has, due to the failure of the Washington legislature to fully fund basic education, that you have to make these cuts. I respect how difficult these decisions must be and know how dedicated all of you are to our student success. As you've heard from our students and parents and staff tonight, I just want to add my testimony to the critical role that our college and career specialists play in leading and coordinating post-high school planning, access, and enrollment. These 4 counselors, Jamila Jones, Brandy Junderson, Rebecca Ackerman, and Angela Phillips, are seasoned veterans in their field and experienced, gifted educators with vital institutional knowledge that takes years to develop, of partnerships and pathways and complex systems to navigate. They have developed trusted and consistent relationships with students and families that cannot be replaced by outside partners, and they are the leaders in their buildings and in the district in the complex steps to college, apprenticeship, and career. Our building staff do not have the time or the expertise to replace them. In eliminating these 4 essential positions, our students, especially low-income, first-generation students, will lose access to critical keys to their future. We don't want our students just to graduate. They must have a plan for after high school and the guidance to navigate these complex next steps. I urge you to retain these 4 college and career counselor positions. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
I think we have here Noah Jorgensen, followed by Sophia Jorgensen.
Hello, my name is Noah Jorgensen, and I've been a TPS student for the past 10 years. I'm currently a sophomore at Stadium High School. I'm here to voice my opposition to your plans to eliminate the career guidance specialists in our high schools. Some people think the Career Center is only for seniors, but that's not correct. A year ago, when I was a freshman, I needed help with the summer program opportunity. Brandy Gunderson in the Stadium Career Center was an amazing help and resource. Because of her, I got connected with the program with interim credentials, and I spent about 140 hours that summer learning about electricians and the principles of electrical work, including a trip to Clover Park Technical College. I'm also a member of the Stadium tennis team. Did you know that we have paid coaches for our athletics, including basketball, baseball, bowling, cheer, cross country, fast pitch, football, golf, soccer, swimming, tennis, track and field, volleyball, water polo, and wrestling? I've also been told that we have more than 24 paid coaches. I've also been told that nearly half of our students are involved in sports. That's great, but it means that more than half of our students aren't part of sports. Where's their coach? For many of them, it's Miss Gunderson. Some of us wonder why there are more than 24 coaches for our sports and only one college coach. Where's the balance? What about equity? TPS says it's committed to equity, but it's hard to see that you really mean it when you plan to cut these positions. I don't think anybody is asking for 24 college coaches or 10 or 5. We definitely want and need to keep the one that we have. Every high school in Tacoma deserves that. Please do not eliminate our career guidance specialists. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think we've got Sophia Jorgensen here, followed by Charles Jorgensen.
Hello, my name is Sophia Jorgensen, and I've been a TPS student for the past 12 years. I'm currently a senior at Stadium High School and will be graduating June 13th. I'm here to voice my opposition to your plan to eliminate all career guidance specialists in our school district. 2 years ago, I felt confused and terrified about my life after high school. I knew that I wanted to go to college, but I was unsure about what I wanted to major in and the process of applying to colleges. I soon realized that there was a lot I had to do in order to make my dream come true, and I had no idea even where to start. Thinking about applying to college made me feel very overwhelmed, scared, and frustrated. Thankfully, we have Ms. Gunderson in the Career Center. During the past 2 years, I've heavily relied on the resources that the Career Center has provided, and it has been extraordinarily helpful, not only for me, but for every single student at Stadium. I can say for sure that Ms. Gunderson has helped me more than any of my teachers I've had in the past 4 years at Stadium. I cannot imagine what would have happened if Ms. Gunderson wasn't available to guide me and my fellow peers. The questions we had never ended, and Ms. Gunderson never stopped having answers. She helped every step of the way with assisting with applications, forms, essays, scholarship opportunities, internships, and a ton of support and unending explanations of the FAFSA, WAFSA, and more. I honestly don't know if I would be heading to college without her help and the support she has given me. I can say without a doubt that I would never have been able to complete all this complicated work without her help. I know for sure that Ms. Gunderson has had a profoundly positive impact on my life, and there are dozens of my classmates who feel the same way. It seems very unfair and wrong of you to eliminate career counselor specialists. Every student deserves a chance to have this kind of support on something as important as figuring out what they want to do after high school. This is a vital and necessary resource for all students. Please do not eliminate these positions. Please do what is right for students and keep career guidance specialists. What they do is critical to the core mission of our schools. I am proof of that. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think we've got Charles Jorgensen here, followed by Tuscany Brown Reed.
Hello, my name is Charles Jorgensen, and I am a dad of 2 children who have been TPS students for the past 12 years. Today is very emotional as we remember our friend Catherine Ushka and come from an incredibly inspirational Memorial Day assembly at Stadium High School. Normally, I am super proud to talk about TPS, and I'm a big cheerleader, but not tonight. Tonight, I'm here to ask you to prevent a terrible mistake from being made. I think your recent decision to eliminate our career guidance specialist is wrong. Please take the time to carefully read all the comments submitted to you. There are many personal stories and a significant amount of data. You say you want our input and you say your decisions are data-driven, but it sure doesn't seem that way. Regardless, it's vital that we continue working together in partnership, even when we're frustrated. This change will harm thousands of students, weaken our community, and send the wrong message. It will undo decades of commendable work done by groups who have dedicated so much passion to get our students ready for life beyond high school. This decision is certainly not student-focused and seems to stand in direct contrast with a number of TPS principles and commitments. The decision is hard to understand. I've been told some here may think these career guidance specialists are no longer essential because information is now online and we have websites. That argument is like saying we don't need math teachers because our kids have calculators. Maybe this idea seems to be financially positive in the short term, but I invite you to understand the impact more fully because there's no doubt it's not in Tacoma's best interest. I wonder when is the last time that any of you, have been in one of our career centers. I invite you to come. One of Tacoma's very few National Merit Scholars who will be graduating with a 4.0 unweighted GPA sent me an email. It contained these 3 sentences he told me I could share with you. Quote, "That room changed my life." Quote, "I don't think I could have done it without Mrs. Junderson." Quote, "This process was harder than any of my AP classes and took more time than any of them." Unquote. Our high school students need to have career guidance specialists. Figuring out life after high school is complex and mind-boggling with twists and turns. Navigating it with professional help is highly improbable. Please help our students be successful.
Thank you.
I dissent. This should not happen.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Tuscany Brown Reed, followed by our last speaker, Carrie Vaddix.
Hello, board members. I'm Tuscany Brown Reed, a student of this district, and with my co-president, Madeline, we support Stadium's Black Student Union. We're here to speak with you today and urge you not to get rid of our district's career counselor position. We believe this would most heavily impact our minority students here who are already statistically disadvantaged in terms of post-secondary education. Taking away this resource from your students would not only affect our futures in the places we go, but your own employees too. You want to push the valuable work these counselors do every single day onto our already overwhelmed guidance counselors, despite it being almost impossible to get an appointment with them without waiting for weeks on end. This would make an already hard job practically impossible to do effectively and equitably. We know that our affluent students have other avenues to arrange for college advisors, essay assistants, opportunities to put on their resumes, and resources for jobs and college tours. But if you decide to take away our college advisors who are free to us now, what happens to accessibility? With everything going up in price, some people won't be able to afford that. This is a blatant injustice that you all would be doing to us with absolutely no regard for the harm it would cause. And speaking on disparities, you have adopted principles that you yourself are not following. Reading the agenda for today's meeting, I saw on slide 6 of your budget update, it lists a strategy to balance the budget as position elimination and cost shifting of staff. I had to guess here, but I believe this is a reference to cutting the position we're here fighting for today. And if so, that's an opaque representation at best, and also a violation of Principle 7, transparency, and Principle 1, eliminating disparities among all groups, on slide 2 of your presentation. Please think long and hard about this decision and the futures at stake. Thank you.
Thank you.
I believe we have up Carrie Vaddix.
Yes. Hi, my name is Carrie Vaddix. I am a teacher at Stadium High School. I teach culinary arts, advisor of BSU, as well as the Culinary Arts Club and a few other things. I'm here really, I didn't write anything, but I took little notes from your guys' stuff. And to say that Stadium has also submitted a staff signature list in the things. I want to bring it back around to our first speaker. And something I heard today here about having a systemic issue for funding of school districts, wholeheartedly agree. But what I'm proposing is a radical redistribution. What we talked about earlier, it's top heavy. The top 60, approximately 60 positions in this district are paid more than our governor. More. The top one, almost twice more than the governor of the state. We had to fight for funding for my classroom. I still only have 2 range ovens in my classroom. I haven't been in there most of the semester. Learning gone. Has my department guy come on in? No. But Ms. Junderson's there every day helping, coming in, seeing what's needed, just like for all of our students. We work together because she is the advisor of ISG, Indigenous Student Group, and me of BSU, and we fight at Stadium constantly. This is injustice not just for Stadium, but Jamila Jones and the rest of them. They are needed for our students. Speaking as a first-generation college person that would have not gone to college if it wasn't for someone like her, for any of them. And I just ask that you let my wife finish.
And that is our public comment for this evening. And we've received the written documents they referenced. I have these, and then I have those over there with Tracy.
Okay, thank you, Malik.
We'll scan them in.
All right, moving on to item number 10, the consent agenda.
I move to adopt.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Are there any comments or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes. Item number 11, policy matters, and there are none. Item number 12, financial report, which was presented earlier on the staff report to the board under agenda item 8.3. Monthly financial statements can be found on the district website at www.tacomaschools.org/departments/business and finance. Item 13, curriculum and instruction. 13.1, approval of interlocal agreement number TSD 24-044 between Pierce County Juvenile Court and Tacoma Public Schools from April 30th, 2024 through April 30th, 2029.
Good evening. The Director of Schools recommends that the Board of Directors approve the interlocal agreement between Pierce County Juvenile Court and Tacoma Public Schools from April 30th, 2024 through April 30th, 2029.
I move to adopt.
A second.
It's been moved and seconded. Are there any questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It passes. Thank you, Doug. Item 13.2, approval of contract TSD 22-090, amendment number 2 to purchase Nearpod learning application for the 2024 through 2025 school year.
The Assistant Superintendent of Teaching and Learning recommends that the Board of Directors approve the purchase of Nearpod learning applications for the 2024-25 school years in the amount of $245,416.69. Funding source technology.
I move to approve.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Are there any questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. Item 14.2, approval of contracts TSD 24-069 between Canon Solutions America, Inc. and Tacoma Public Schools from June 1st, 2024 through May 31st, 2029. Oh, hello. Miss Jumper is on her way. Oh, I think I also skipped one, so my apologies. My apologies, Zeke.
The Chief Communications Officer recommends that the Board of Directors approves contract number TSD 24-069 between Canon Solutions America Incorporated and Tacoma Public Schools in the amount of $591,525.60 from June 1st, 2024 through May 31st, 2029.
I move to adopt on 14.2.
A second.
It's been moved and seconded. Are there any questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. Thank you, Ms. Jumper. We're going to go back in the agenda to item 13. Wait.
14.
Thank you. 14.1. Approval of the application for Head Start COLA grant number 10CH011090.
The Assistant Superintendent of Teaching and Learning recommends that the Board of Directors approve submission of the Head Start COLA grant application in the amount of $168,024, and if awarded, approve expenditure of funds according to accepted guidelines. Funding source, Office of Head Start.
Move to adopt item 14.1.
A second.
It's been moved and seconded. Are there any questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It passes. Thank you, Zeke. Let's see, just to verify, we're moving on to 14.3. Thank you. Approval of contract number TSD 24070 between Canon Solution America, Inc. and Tacoma Public Schools. Wait.
You're right.
Yes, that's correct. We have
There's two separate ones.
We have a second Canon one on there. Tanisha?
Ms. Jumper, there are two items.
On behalf of the Chief Communications Officer, the Superintendent recommends the Board of Directors approve contract TSD-24-070 between Canon Solutions America, Inc. and Tacoma Public Schools in the amount of $1,006,668 from June 1st, 2024 through May 31st, 2029. Funding source, printing and graphics.
Move to adopt 14.3.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Are there any questions or comments? I do have one clarifying question because they sound identical. So if you, for the public, if we could just have a distinction between the two items, that would be great.
One's
I know
hardware,
there's-
one's software.
Well, kind of. So the first one is actually from our printing and graphics group to do all the things like yearbooks and posters and things that we have. That's that specific equipment. The second one is for all the copiers, printers that are in the schools that are used by staff throughout the district.
That's very helpful. Thank you, Kari. All right. Any other comments or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. Item 14.4, approval of the guaranteed maximum price GMP Amendment Number 3 to contract between Tacoma School District Number 10 and B&B Builder Construction for the Oakland High School Historic Modernization Project.
The Executive Director of Planning and Construction for the Chief Operations Officer recommends that the Board of Directors approve the guaranteed maximum price GMP Amendment Number 3, which states that the cost of the Oakland High School Historical Project. The operating officer also recommends that the board authorize the superintendent or designee to sign said GMP Amendment Number 3 in the amount of $6,993,699, bringing the total consideration to $33,506,748, excluding sales tax, funding source, capital projects. Budget issue approved by voters in February 11th of 2020.
I move to adopt item 14.4.
I second.
It's been moved and seconded. Are there any questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It passes. Item 14.5, approval of ground lease for the South Puget Sound Maritime Skills Center and Port Maritime Center Planning and Development.
The Executive Director of Planning and Construction for the Chief Operations Officer recommends that the Board of Directors approve the ground lease for the South Puget Sound Maritime Skills Center. TPS capital funds will be paid for the approximate amount of $5.5 million in related capital contributions completed. I'm sorry, I'm having a difficult time talking tonight.
Same, Morris, same. You're okay.
Contemplated in the lease and offsets future lease value. Funding source, capital projects bond issue approved by the voters on February 11th of 2020.
Move to adopt item 14.5.
I second.
It's been moved and seconded. Are there any questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. And wait, that was 14.5.
Yep.
All right, so other business, item 15, 15.1, adoption of resolution 2141, emergency declaration for building siding replacement at Wainwright Intermediate School.
The Executive Director of Planning and Construction for the Chief Operations Officer recommends that the Board of Directors adopt Resolution 2141 to declare an emergency exists at Wainwright Intermediate School and approve the immediate procurement of necessary equipment and services. Funding source, capital project bond issue as approved by voters on February 11th of 2020.
I move to adopt 15.1.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Are there any questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
We'll do a roll call vote.
You said resolution, didn't you?
It's okay. President Keating, how do you vote on Resolution 2141?
Aye.
Vice President Strozier, how do you vote?
Aye.
Director Leon, how do you vote?
Aye.
Resolution 2141 passes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Morris. Item 15.2, And I will recall adoption of resolution number 2143 to authorize the submission of a non-party declaration related to Initiative 2081.
The district's general counsel recommends the board of directors adopt resolution 2143 to authorize the submission of a non-party declaration related to Initiative 2081 with no cost to the district.
I move to adopt 15.2.
I second.
It's been moved and seconded. Are there any questions or comments? Seeing none, I will turn it back over to you, General Counsel Penro.
Yes. So President Keating, how do you vote on resolution 2143?
Aye.
Vice President Stroger, how do you vote?
Aye.
Director Leon, how do you vote?
Aye.
Resolution 2143 passes.
Thank you.
So, Madam President, I'd like to just thank you for that. What we are doing here with this, and for folks that may have a question at home, what we have seen in the recent passage of Initiative 2081 is there's a lot of vagueness in the ways that we can potentially support our students and our families. And so what we're asking for us to be able to do, and this me specifically, is to highlight that vagueness in that bill specifically and seek for clarity to answer that so that we're able to ensure that our staff and our students are safe and able to provide the services accordingly. So the non-party means that we're not saying yes or no in anything. We're asking for that clarity in our concerns of that vagueness.
Thank you, which also aligns with the testimony that I had given in regards to during the hearing in the legislature in March. So thank you very much for that.
President Keating, and I should also note, just because the public, whoever's watching, may see that two of our board members are not here, but we all share, we're all in alignment with the decision made this evening. We've had individual conversations with Director McElroy as well as Director Bombright, and we stand united on this front. So I just thought that was important to share.
Thank you very much, Vice President Stroger. All right, moving on to item number 16, board comments and reports. Thank you. Lillian, would you like to share something?
Hi, I'm Lillian Taylor. I am a student representative from Silas High School. I wanted to thank you guys for this opportunity, obviously. I'd like to use it to speak on our guidance, our career and college advisors. Kids often will at least kind of joke about how it feels like the only thing our schools care about is us graduating. Doesn't really matter what we do. Like, it feels like we could do literally anything and still somehow be able to graduate. And I feel like this kind of thing is proof of that, because they help us after we graduate, and getting rid of them just makes it seem like, oh, they're just trying to get us out of here. We need that support. I'm not a first generation college student, but I still don't know what I'm doing. My parents don't really know what I'm gonna do either. And they help us, and it's so important for us to have them. That's really all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lillian. Dr. Leon?
I appreciate all the public coming to speak today on the different topics, but a lot of it related around the budget problems that a lot of schools are having. So I appreciate the discussion from superintendent and all your staff around the reasons in the background. And you know, we heard a lot of heartfelt stories and evidence as to why those positions, along with many others, are very important for our students' welfare and future. So we did hear you, and I think that there were ideas in there that if the superintendent's administration or staff has not considered, they will consider. And so I will have some questions afterwards too for the superintendent on some ideas around this. So thank you for everyone for coming.
Thank you.
Had public comment, but in the honor of Mental Health Month, I'm gonna hold true to how I feel, and I'm not gonna say anything that I needed to say this evening, so I don't have a report. Appreciate it.
Thank you. I last week, my head's a little fuzzy. It's been an extraordinarily long and emotional day for me personally. Last week I did attend the Foundation for Tacoma Students Conference, And I know there was a lot of other things. The Citizens Audit Finance Committee meeting also took place, and numerous other meetings, and just a lot of work. I feel like there's just been constant work. This week, I just wanted to highlight a couple things. As already has been mentioned, our retirees were celebrated last night in a really beautiful way, and Vice President Sturger and I were there to celebrate them and honor them. And I want to also thank Ms. Jumper and her team for putting on a really thoughtful, beautiful, fun celebration. And I really hope that we can take the advice of those kindergartners or those young elementary school students of what retirement really is. So hopefully people will be able to see that video soon, and I hope to follow some of their advice. And then also on Tuesday, Vice President Sturger and I had attended the Indian Education Senior Ceremonies. And Deputy Superintendent Nolan was there, as well as Superintendent Garcia. And Corey and I were there for the entirety of the celebration. And I don't know how many seniors, 34 seniors came through, as well as some of the staff, the teachers that the seniors had nominated. And the ceremony is just, I don't know, every time we do anything with the Indian Ed department, it is extremely moving. And as a non-native person, I feel really honored to participate. And so Corey was able to present a medallion to each senior. And then I and some of the other, the Parent Advisory Council member, Kim, who I'm forgetting Kim's last name, I'm very sorry, and her daughter Maya, we took turns wrapping the seniors in blankets. And it was just, and learning about where they're going, what their next steps are, and meeting their family members. It was really extraordinary, and I actually knew 3 of those students from when they were very young, so that was even more meaningful. And Puyallup Tribal Council member Annette Bryan was there with her grandson. So it was a very meaningful and beautiful experience to just share, to be able to hold space with them. And then there was also yesterday the Ginny Reed ribbon cutting for the Trust of Public Lands partnership, and also with Metro Parks. And I have some fun facts that I have not pulled up yet, but I'm going to pretty quickly. So the trust, this is a partnership between Trust for Public Lands, Metro Parks, and Jenny Reed is the second Stafford. Well, Jenny Reed was the first. I know Abby Sloan would be upset if I didn't say they were the first. They were absolutely the first. But they are one of 5 sites, school year sites, that we have this partnership with. And some of the points from Park Commissioner, Andrea Smith, who is the president of the Park Commission. She had talked about that these are considered community schoolyards, and they are helping close Metro Parks' gap of a 10-minute walk to a park or green space. And community schoolyards like Jenny Reed and Stafford are helping close, they're going to serve 1,510 people who live nearby, who previously lacked access to a public space within a walking distance. The 5 community schoolyards that are planned will serve approximately 25,000 people and help increase the number of people living near a park in Tacoma from 69% to 75%. And some of the other things that around Trust for Public Lands, through their work nationwide, they've saved, I think it was over 165,000 acres. And Jenny Reed, and we are the first schoolyards in the state of Washington that have had this partnership. And so it's a really remarkable thing. So, and it was very much student driven, students, as well as was the ceremony by the ASB yesterday. It was a really, it was just a very exciting and beautiful playground and play yard space for that community to have. So just a tremendous amount of gratitude to our partners. And then there was also the TPS Rainier Night was also last night. And so that was really fun. And I hope I say this right. Was it Point Defiance Elementary choir that sang They did a fantastic job.
And our 5th grader from Jefferson was the one that designed the.
Yes, and designed the jerseys. So thank you. I was gonna make sure that that student got a shout out. So it was really that's always a fun night to be together. So I think with that, I know there's lots of other things. We have Memorial Day weekend and no school tomorrow and on Monday. And I hope people have an opportunity to rest and rejuvenate and be safe. Are there any other final comments?
Please start registering for summer late nights on your school websites. Thank you.
All right. And seeing other comments, we will move to item number 17, announcements of next regular board meetings, June 6th, 2024, at 6 p.m. There will be another business meeting here in this location, as well as on June 20th, and then on July 11th, we will also have another business meeting. And with that, this meeting is adjourned.